You know, many black people from Africa, different countries in Africa, they come to South Africa for a better living, for a career, or just to visit. And most of them, they encounter xenophobia because somehow they are black and they are from outside of South Africa. They don't have the South African ID. They encounter levels of discrimination based on where they come from. It's not even racial, it's like black on black. And it's fine. But do you guys know where Madam Helen Zille comes from? Where her forefathers come from? Do you know Helen Zille comes from Germany? Her family comes from Germany, originally from Germany, and she has a Jewish part in her. But I have a clip of her explaining herself, where she comes from, where her father comes from, her mother comes from. If you don't believe me, take a watch.
Well, my parents raised us very conscious because they'd been very discriminated against in Germany. Most of my father's family was killed in the Holocaust. They were murdered in the concentration camps. And I've spent quite a lot of time actually trying to trace them and track them and find out what happened to them, and the stories are terrible. But my father managed to survive, and his brother survived too, and they both came to South Africa and brought their mother just in time. They brought their mother out, and she was a widow. And they were very conscious of the extreme discrimination they'd faced and were very opposed to it here, and my mother even more so. So my father's mother was Jewish and my mother's father was Jewish. So it was a combination, right?
Yeah.
A mix and match. And so we've always grown up with an appreciation of all faiths and what they bring to human society.
Yeah.
And my parents raised us with that consciousness, but they also raised us with a very strong consciousness of discrimination, and were very, very opposed to it. So my mother, at the very beginning, joined the Black Sash. My father was in the Torch Commando many years ago. So they raised us with that kind of sense, and that's why I became involved in politics in 1967.
Jeez, it's a
Probably
young
before
girl.
your grandmother was born.
It's a young lady.
Yeah,
eh?
I was still at school. Yeah.
Wow.
You just heard, right? Not to racially discriminate her. For educational purposes, you heard her. But if it was a black person, maybe let's say it was, who can I make an example with? Let's say maybe it was Chidima, explaining the fact that her father comes from Zimbabwe. And no, her father comes from Nigeria. She came to South Africa, and she's now a South African citizen. She was born here in South Africa. She has a South African ID, despite what happened with the fraud. Let's say the fraud didn't happen, hypothetically, an ideal situation. Let's say her mother also is a foreigner, is not from South Africa. Both her parents come from outside. They meet here in South Africa, and then they create her. She's born here. Why is it when it's a black person, the discrimination is so much when it's a black person, but when it comes to a white person, a person who has roots of being from Germany, someone who has a Jewish blood, why is it that they are easily accepted? Not say they must not be accepted. I'm saying, why is it when it's a black person, it's black people themselves who are going to be so quick to want to judge that person? They're going to be so quick to want to discriminate that person. They're going to be so quick to want to be so Afrophobic, xenophobic, so much hate because you don't have a South African ID, but you are black, so you're not one of us. Nationality-wise, you're not one of us. So you must go back home. Foreigners must go. But white people, Jewish people, Indian people, plenty of people, Europeans, Chinese, they are here, unbothered by anyone. And one thing I like about them, South African white people who have always been here, and yeah, they are legally here, according to the laws of now and the constitution, they are protected. So those South African white people, I've never seen them discriminate on other white people who come to South Africa, whether to visit, to work, or just for anything. I've never seen white people become xenophobic to each other based on nationality. Even the white South Africans who were born here, who have farms here, I've never seen them be intimidated by other white people, other Jewish people who come and join them, join their clubs, join their organizations. They unite, they form unity, they welcome each other. There's political parties, organizations that represent them as a collective. When they fight, they don't project it online. They don't project the fight in public. They have a dignity about them and a certain unity. And it's attractive, and it's good to learn from something from white people. They are united. That's one thing you can never take away from them. I'm not saying they don't fight, they don't disagree. You will never see it anyways. You will never see white people fighting. You will never see that. You will just be dreaming. It will be your lucky day if you saw white people fighting, being xenophobic to each other. Because it doesn't happen. It only happens with us as black people. So why is it so? Is it because maybe we hate ourselves so bad? We're not proud of other people who look like us? Is it because of self-hate? Is it because of low self-esteem? Is it because maybe you want to bring down another black person thinking you are going to go up by bringing that? It doesn't even have to be about Chidima, because Chidima's case is even controversial. There's fraud involved. There's a Nigerian father whereby South Africans even hate Nigerians even. So let's not even make her an ideal situation. Let's just imagine something like someone, an ideal situation. Just imagine someone, his father's from Zimbabwe, the mother's from Namibia. They come to South Africa, they were visiting, then boom, they meet, they make a child. The child is born here, and then it's a South African child. But because the parents are from outside, it's bad. But we just heard Madam Helen Zille. She's from Germany. She has roots from Germany. So her family came to South Africa because they were running away from the war. You remember the war there was happening. A lot of things was happening in Germany. Germany fighting the Jews. Those things, Abu Hitler. And then you end up today finding Jewish people. They have a very disdain when it comes to talking about Hitler. It's fine. It's fine. It's a separate conversation. But they were running away from that situation. And they ended up in South Africa. They started a life, made children in South Africa, made connections in South Africa. And they understand suffering because where they come from, they were suffering. So they have an appreciation of blending in, her family. I don't know about her. There's allegations of her being racist. So I don't know about her family, I don't know. But she was explaining that it was easy for her to be welcomed. Of course, she was welcomed even by other white people because during those times there was apartheid in South Africa. So she was going to be welcome. The family was going to be welcome. But white people, they don't discriminate each other. Can't we learn something from them? We don't have to learn everything, but the unity part, can't we learn it? And the unity doesn't have to be disingenuous. It can be genuine. It can be unity of supporting each other. It can be unity of pulling together and working together. It doesn't have to be that unity of like you're fun, fuck. But it seems like that day will never come and black people will remain doomed. It will never come. It will never come. I've made up my mind. I can fight for black unity as much as I want. But I know black people will never be united. It will never happen. It will happen. Few black people from different places, walks of life will come together and influence others. But it won't happen gradually. It will never happen gradually. But it is what it is. I just wanted to let you guys know where Madam Helen Zille come from. Thank you very much. May God bless you.